Hey everybody, welcome back to HIT.OR.DIE podcast with your host Jake Saldati and Chad Rothford, and a special guest, the new Fresno State baseball head coach, Ryan Overland.
Is that an interim tag on that, or how does that work?
It's not interim for me.
He's the head coach.
He's the damn head coach.
Yeah, he's running the ship. What up, Ovi?
How's it going, guys? No, I appreciate coming in and
it's been a while.
With you. Yeah,
it was in your office, right?
We did in his. He's got a bigger office now. But no, we've been gone for a couple weeks, and I've enjoyed it being away, being with family and the holidays. Hope everybody had a good Christmas and New Year's, and what better way to start off the new year with our podcast than with Ovi?
Yeah, I had some people reaching out like, "You guys okay? What's going on?" I'm like, "Nah, we're just we haven't missed many weeks in 3 years, and it was just nice to be like." We got through Mr. Stovall's episode, which was great, and I was like, "Let's take a break, enjoy the holidays."
People missed the show.
I know, man. I appreciate.
I can't believe that, but I'll take your word for it.
Yeah,
since nobody contacts me.
But get the podcast on YouTube. You can download, subscribe, iTunes, Spotify. Man, it's nice to be back. It's been a minute. The news to start the year to see Coach Bates stepping down or retiring, actually, which we'll get into. But so much shit has gone on since we've been away as far as just baseball goes. You've seen free agency, the Judge stuff, which we'll get into maybe in a sec. But like Correa is the big one still, right? He still doesn't have a home.
Final, right?
Nothing.
The Giants and the Giants got some flack. Do you have a team?
Angels.
You're okay.
And Judge.
It's a good team.
So, no, I watched Angels and then obviously as much Yankees, and then the rest of our guys, obviously Ward's with the Angels, and then Lambert lead basically wherever the Dogs are at. That's kind of where.
Wins had a good year with the Giants.
I think he just got designated for assignment, I saw, with the Giants.
Which is stupid.
Yeah.
That makes no sense after the year.
I think I saw. I'm pretty sure.
Any catching.
And you got Loop now joining forces with the Atlanta Braves, and Dylan Lee's over there. So that's pretty cool, man. How does that, you, Coach Bates, the staff, just as an alumni, seeing that and seeing as many guys excel at the big leagues?
Yeah, no, it's been awesome, the amount of guys that have been up there and the success they're having, and 100 home runs in the big leagues last year from Bulldogs.
Taylor Ward too, like his start to last year before
if he didn't get injured,
man.
He was an all-star.
I thought he honestly had an argument even to be an all-star.
True.
Yeah. No, he was right there within the start, and even I think he finished 20-some home runs.
Yeah.
And I just love being able to turn on the game and seeing him stand in right field and Trout's in center going,
it's pretty crazy.
What a job. And then just what that lineup is. Hopefully, it can keep those guys healthy and keep him in the center of that. Got a chance for a lot of production, and obviously guys around him, Ohtani, get Rendon back healthy. But that's
so being an Angels fan and a Judge fan, separating your bias. The argument the last couple of years on MVP has been
the face?
Well, what Ohtani does for the Angels, pitching and hitting versus what Vlad Guerrero did in 21, and what Judge did last year. We both have been on the side of Guerrero and Judge. Not that we don't think Ohtani is not an MVP-worthy candidate.
Obviously I'm biased towards Judge getting it, but at the same time, what I think is difficult with that whole argument is there's nothing to compare what Ohtani is doing to really every other day there's nobody's ever done this, nobody ever did this.
A new record.
Yeah, so the tiebreaker for me honestly came to thinking about it is kind of to that, and it's also kind of can support the argument for Ohtani because nobody's done it. But hundreds and hundreds of players have played a full season and did not do what Aaron Judge did, the 62 home runs, the batting average, leading the team. Nobody's done that season before. So that was kind of the separator for me, I think, of the uniqueness of what he did. Obviously, the Ohtani thing, too, and the value he brings to the Angels. But it's...
Do you think what your team does overall should play a little factor into it or no?
I think it's
obviously it's an individualized award.
It is, but I just again I'm
and there is a Cy Young award.
Correct.
There is a pitching award.
There is a pitching award.
But then why is the MVP not the most valuable hitter award? You know what I mean? It's
because it's the player position. It's a player. A pitcher's not a player.
Yeah, that's a
whole
nother topic.
I think what you just said though about how every day it feels like it's a new record, that irritates the shit out of Chad.
Oh my God, so much.
So for that reason alone, I think Chad, like, I don't want to hear it anymore. So I can't vote for this guy just because of that. Am I wrong?
Every day it's Captain Obvious. We know. It's the pitcher with the most triples in a season. Yeah, we know. He had the most singles. He touched first base the most. I get it. Every record is a new record.
Why do you hate Ohtani? Why do you think Ohtani's a bad player?
When have I ever said he's a bad player?
That's what people think, though. When you say shit like that, that's what they think. You know what I mean?
The other thing I can't help obviously think in the conversation of you couldn't do it, but having actually seen Aaron Judge pitch in college in the fall his freshman year and knowing what he is physically, if you went back and said, all right, you're going to do that route of what Ohtani did, I think he can physically do it too. And it's an extreme, but I just mean the type of athlete it is, what these guys can do, and it's a different deal. But to your question of does the team part matter, again, bias towards Judge, and he led the New York Yankees in that season. They were the best team in baseball for most of the year. But to me, just because the Angels only won 70 games with Ohtani, what if they would have won 30 without him? You know what I mean? Like, that's possible. Just they're most valuable doesn't mean that you're necessarily the best team. Your value could still be we took a 40-win team to an 80-win team, where versus another guy in an already good team might take it from an 80 to a 90. But again, it's a conversation. I don't think there's a right answer.
I mean, they're both
personal
freaks.
Deal.
They're both, and I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that disrespectfully. They're both insane. I mean, yeah, the majority of people cannot do what they do.
No,
I would have loved to seen Judge pitch though. I'd heard that he.
Well, they put up his high school stats. They had that.
Yeah. They split
9-3 with like a 1-something ERA or something like that. It was crazy senior year.
Yeah, I'm sure he dominated, which I think he could have easily done at our level, if that's what it. But same thing with a lot of guys. They've done both. Kind of where's your heart lead? Where's the current roster go to? How's it? I mean, there's a lot of things that factor into that, and obviously, pretty good.
Dude, it paid off. I mean, the guy to bet on yourself like that. We've talked about it a bunch of times, but you know, not only coaching him and all that stuff, like. You guys you're friends too, right? Like, how is that just as a friend? Like, have you talked to him since even the season's ended or since the contract stuff's been done?
Yeah, I'm not a ton after, and especially during the season, I'm not one to
bother guys
to keep texting especially when it comes to the West Coast. I got to imagine the people that want to come see and stuff. So, but yeah, he came to a football game this fall. Got to spend some time together, and I think again what I told him was the most amazing thing about it to me was just personally how he handled all that and stayed true to who he is, and it's genuine, the real love for his teammates and talking about the support that they give, and to handle chasing home run record in New York. The team was doing good and all the stuff, and he stayed true to that. And then just we talked about when it happened, just what other major whenever guys in the big leagues, major accomplishment, teammates go on the field. I've never seen other big leaguers run out onto the field the way Rizzo and those guys did. They go out there with other guys, but it's a little more of we'll go out there and support. Those guys were genuinely super happy for him, and it's because that's how he is with other people. He really cares about his teammates. That's not something he goes and says to a camera and then goes in the locker room and is a different person. That's who he is. That's how he's always been. I think, especially his time with the Bulldog, that team still, Jordan Rivera and Danny Muno, Weber and Robinson, some older guys he was around that he just wanted to be one of the guys. And that was a great group to learn that from. And then he's obviously carried a lot of that to who he is today. And obviously was parents with Patty and Wayne did raising him. But just who he is and the way he handled that, as much as the 62 home runs, to have that media and everything about it every day, building it. It took a couple games to get to the end, and people are traveling around to genuinely happy for my teammates. I'm just trying to help the team win. At one point, he said something when he was leading off, and one of the press conferences, he said, "I'm just doing my job, trying to get on base." That's real. He really did, and that's why, looking at him going forward of this contract that he has, the only thing that he really cares about is winning a championship. And
Yeah, he doesn't have to worry about it anymore. He doesn't have
But that's always been what his thing is. How can I help the team win, whatever that is, if that's getting extra walks, getting on base, making a play on defense. The home runs, honestly, they just kind of come, and that's real for him, obviously, and be able to do what he's done production-wise, average, and be kind of, which I'm sure you guys get into a lot of the production of the game and average and what's valuable or not, but he just wants to help the team win. And that's, if you've got a player at that ability level and that stardom that genuinely wants the team to win, that's why his teammates gravitate towards him like they do, and why you hear Boone talk about him the way he does.
Well, I think it's also part of why it was such an easy decision to announce him as the captain, and nobody throw up any arms about it. And you know what I mean? Like, everybody's kind of like, yeah, this is our guy. Mm-hmm. The next guy anyway. So no, that's awesome to see. We're obviously Bulldog fans.
I'm waiting for a Gold Glove. I think he's
That's
been.
what I
think
said
he's
too.
been freaking.
Well, he split time though. I think that was part of what hurt him this. But no errors. Like, he had a fantastic. When a lot of attempts.
He is a very underrated outfielder.
Absolutely.
I think everybody sees 6'8", 280, that he's just a hitter. Like, the dude is fast as shit, has a cannon, and he's a great defensive outfielder. I mean, he was center fielder in college, can still play center field with the Yankees a couple times. It's just, I think I'm waiting for a Gold Glove, and I thought he could have got one.
I thought for sure. I brought that up to somebody there to ask, is it because he played split center field and right field, to maybe, because now they do it actually left, center, right. That didn't qualify, but you're right, to the assists, the diving for balls, robbing home runs. I mean, he affects the game on defense too.
Because a guy like that, dude, I'm going for the home run record. I'm not going to lay out. I don't want to get hurt. I'm not going to lay
Miss
out
at bats.
He doesn't do that.
No.
And
to your point, he's trying to win games.
Yeah.
Even stealing, I think probably 12, 15 bases, but even that alone, there's not probably not
I
many.
want to say he had like 18 bags.
Yeah, it was in the team. And
Which I guarantee you is probably in the top 20.
Well, it was more than Ohtani. I know that.
I don't know. Ohtani's swiped some bags.
I think he did, but I think
it was 13.
Before we get into some of the Fresno State stuff that's been in the news, real quick, Chad sent me for all the other free agent stuff. You can go look for yourself. But there was the Hall of Fame voting. You sent me a couple ballots.
There's been 2
that had
nothing,
zero, no votes. I think those people should no longer be allowed to vote. Like, if you can't vote for one, like, there's not one. Wagner's not a Hall of Famer.
There's at least
Jeff
5
Kent.
on there.
Nope. I keep seeing ballots without Jeff Kent. Why is he so overlooked?
Yeah, I don't know how much time we got to get the Hall of Fame thing. The way, to me, just the era was the era. It just was. The 60s had its era. The 20s had its era of all the things in baseball, with the dead ball era, the amphetamine, all these things, the Black Sox era. There was, the stuff that was going on then. The era was the era. The Hall of Fame is the story of baseball. These were the best players of the time. However you want to tell the story of, there were some other things going. But to me, just the fact that some of the writers had the votes, for them to say, you're good, but not you. You're okay, but not you. Really, we know? We really know who did what, and especially like just of what the line really is today now, especially with science and the stuff that athletes put in their body. I mean, let somebody that really does not know to make the decisions of, okay, you're good, but not you. I mean, I don't really pay attention much to it. The fact, for me personally, if Bonds, Clemens, and those guys aren't in, then what are we doing?
I mean,
That's
even
my
the Pete
opinion.
Rose argument now with betting being able to happen.
Well,
Yeah, I mean,
you're
that's-
partners with DraftKings. You're partners with these.
Yeah, and that's betting you're banned from baseball, but the Baseball Hall of Fame, I don't even know if it's MLB related. So it's kind of a whole wide.
And he did it as a manager, so that's why I said, okay,
They're
ban him
still
as a
your
manager.
Your playing career.
Well, somebody
is Hall
got
of
those
Fame.
hits. He's got, what, 20-plus records? Like, somebody has those records. It's like Bonds and Clemens.
And that's
like,
what I say about Bonds, too. I mean, that happened.
It happened.
I think he had, what, 3 MVPs prior to even joining the Giants?
Right, he probably had a Hall of Fame career before even doing that. And to back to the era, the pitchers that he was doing it off of, what they were doing for their recovery. And, I mean, it was just the era. That's what he did it in. And, again, we're getting too far into it, but the commissioner of the era
is in the Hall of Fame. Is in the Hall of Fame.
And to me, the writers get the votes. They were the ones writing the articles about it. I mean, you can't say that they weren't profiting off of McGuire
or their careers didn't benefit from that. Yeah.
Deal that we were all there loving it. I don't remember anybody at the time going, "Whoa, hey."
Well, yeah, right. If you had such a big problem with it, Bob Costas, for example, why broadcasting games? You're getting paid to call cheaters games.
Yeah.
And a bunch of other guys.
Yeah, so that's the Hall of Fame. And then, like you're saying, the voting now of nobody on it. It doesn't make sense of why people that really don't know, they don't, right or wrong either way, get to make the decision on it. And to me, those are by far the best players of the era, whatever they did.
And that's the thing, too. You can hate somebody all you want, but you have to respect the numbers they put up.
It happened.
Not everybody likes media. Not everybody likes talking to the media. I mean, it was just like in the World Series, they're asking, Baum what Harper told you. And, he got asked that 20 times, and he had the same answer. It's just shut up. You guys are trying to get a story to make money out of nothing.
We did get that story.
We did that story.
We didn't do it on the podcast. Maybe we'll tell it someday. We'll tell you after.
For what now?
What was really said in the dugout from Harper and Baum.
Harper, they called Baum to the dugout prior.
Before he hit the home run.
And they hit 5 home runs that game.
Brogdon told us what they said.
So you guys probably made more of an inside deal than me.
No.
From what I heard was they were trying to get the Astros confused about is what I heard. Now, I'm sure Brogdon has a way. Very close. They were trying to – because, if you've got the guy's slider, you're not
going to do it out front.
Yeah, you're not.
I think it's safe to say things were tipped. There were tips.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But it didn't happen in that moment or in the game. It happened well before the game started. And maybe we'll divulge that information someday. But I just think that's stupid to have to submit a ballot with not one worthy name in the Hall of Fame on a list of names that have worthy players. I think it's ridiculous. And justify why you didn't put anybody. I don't know. I think it's bullshit. These guys paid the price, 20-year careers, and they're holding their.
Well, go play 162. You know what I mean? Go do what these guys did in the offseason.
Their Hall of Fame life is in the hands of people that
never played the game.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty shitty for me. I don't love it, but like I said, in recent news, it's been a couple weeks. Coach Batesole, 20 years at Fresno State. Was it 2003 or 2?
No, it was
2003 was the
first year.
Yeah, it was. So he got the job in 2002,
summer of 2002.
Yeah, had retired as the head coach of Fresno State baseball, and to say a lot of people were shocked or surprised, maybe an understatement. I mean, I'd heard about it, possibly being a thing over the last year or so, but you guys do a very good job of keeping things tight and in house, as it probably should be, especially decisions like that. But I'm sure there's information that that doesn't need to be shared, but just kind of talk about the process and maybe what's going on now, maybe meetings you've had, but just kind of even what Batesole's meant to you. And I mean, we could spend days talking about his contribution, just not only to the game of baseball, but Fresno State especially, and the players. I mean, the players you talk to, I haven't talked to any players that just didn't.
They don't even mention the baseball.
They really don't.
They mention
you talk
the
to
life
Rivera,
lessons
we've had a number of conversations
about being
guys.
men. You know what I mean?
But I do want to take a moment to thank him. Like a lot of people, I've seen people on our Twitter feed bash him, and it's whatever. They
don't know him though.
But you have your opinion, and that's fine. You're entitled to that. But you can't argue that he didn't have success here. He didn't produce great baseball players, men, that have gone on to contribute in a number of ways, not just professionally. And I just wanted to maybe spend a moment on that. And you especially, you've been there with him the last 12 years. You were on 08's club. You've been through a lot of thick and thin with him, even as an adult. I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on all of it.
Kind of there in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then the end.
Yeah, no, it's, the day that it came out of, him announcing his retirement, there was a lot of factors and thoughts and emotions and a lot of different dynamics just for me personally. Having worked for him for the last 12 years, having played for him for 4 years, being the reason I am a Bulldog and why I came here, recruiting me and bringing me into the program. So there's a dynamic of, this is my boss is retiring. There's, okay, now I'm the head coach. There's, oh, this was my coach retiring. And then there's the factor of my teammates and my brothers I played with. Obviously, they're all kind of coming into this of what's going on and stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of, we could go on for days really of the impact, not only on myself, but just everybody that's played for him, like you said. 20 years as the head coach of the Bulldog, 9 championships. In the 20 season, there was no championship. So 9 out of the 19 opportunities, championships, which is almost half. And for any program at any level, you win a championship half the time, that's pretty special. I understand that a lot of people, their views of the program, they want us beating LSU and beating Texas every other day, and I want to too. I want to go beat them and play them every day, but and we should have that aspirations of being the best in the country and compete with everybody. So the impact obviously on the field, the championships, the players that have succeeded at a high level, baseball-wise, playing in the big leagues, playing professionally, guys that were walk-ons, came in the program and played in the big leagues, that for what he's done for their careers and that. But like you said, his impact and his legacy is in what he taught us all for life. And I know that firsthand, having for the impact he had on me as a player and working for him as long as I have. And then also my best friends in life went through that too, and the same things. And as much as baseball's in his blood, it just is. And, for him to be this is the time to step away and not do this anymore. When I say, baseball's in his blood, a lot of people think that it's in theirs.
Yeah.
They like to watch it on TV. They like to watch it, which is great, which isn't everybody. But when I say, having been with him as much time as I've been with him, that it's in his blood, I mean the hours and hours of practice planning, making sure that this guy does this drill with this guy and faces this guy and that for this thing, and in scrimmages, having the left-handed pitch, all the hours and hours of detail and planning. I've never been around anybody that truly loves, breathes. When you say it's in his blood, that's in his blood. That a lot of people say that it is, and they like baseball, they like to watch it, maybe even like playing it or coaching it, but to the level of it's him, and so just the impact of amount of time as he had on it, I don't know how. That's why I think originally when you reached out to come on, and I'd love to come here and talk about him and share some stuff with it. Originally, I said let's give it a week or so to kind of let some thoughts sink in and really let some stuff, some thoughts come together, and also to kind of let it be his time for people to recognize and honor him, that it wasn't about me being the next head coach or anything like that, of making sure he gets the due respect he deserves to that. And again, there's so many different ways we could go into it, the impact he's had on us that have played for him and coached for him and been around him. And to be honest, that lives through what we do in our daily lives. Of how many guys that work for sheriff, firefighter, run their business, engineers, all these different things. They're all things he taught us about competition and baseball were really things about life. And just how many times maybe we were split the first 2 games of a series. It's a Sunday game. You know what it's like when we got to win this series. And he'd always had a way of bringing that to, hey, one day when you're working a job and your kids need new shoes and all these other things, like this baseball game's you're gonna look back at the baseball game, but it's how did you prepare? How do you take care of what you're supposed to do to be successful? And that's the legacy, and that's the going all the way back to Northridge and through for 20 years at Fresno State, and that's the legacy that'll continue to live through him that I think is unique to him, and that's what his personality and what he did for guys academically to make sure you're gonna get your degree while you're here. And there's 300 some Division I schools, and if you want to go just be eligible and kind of mess around for 3 years and then go play pro ball, there's 300 some other schools to do that. If you're here going to be a Bulldog, you're gonna get good grades, you're going to be ahead of the track to get your degree, and whenever you sign, you're going to be as close to it as possible. And as you know, for most of us at that age, that's not a priority. But so that type of stuff truly is what will carry on through. Again, it's unique to me because I played for him, and my best friends in life are guys that went through that too. So, that's something, again, of how he'll be remembered and how that'll carry on, which every coach I think has a little different deal, and I think in just being in the community and the appreciation for what Coach Bennett and Coach Biden did ahead of them, their legacy is probably a little different. I think there's definitely which is great. Every coach is different. There's some unique things, I think. And Chad, you can speak to this probably I think one of Coach Bennett's legacy was the baseball part and the coaching tree and how many just people in the community came. This is how Coach Bennett taught it because it was great. It was beautiful stuff and pure baseball, and that was spread tree so far down that as you know. So, and I think that's something special. Looking for, what Coach Batesole did throughout his career, being proud of obviously doing it within an administration, NCAA rule, there's confines, but he was able to coach his teams the way he wanted, in his personality, how he knew what was right, which not everybody has to agree with. And I don't think anybody would be more proud than him to say, yeah, it was hard. It's an honor that it should be hard, and not being a Bulldog's not for everybody.
He kind of seems like though that's the kind of way he would want it.
Well, it's the same thing. If you're running your business, like you don't just want anybody can work here. You can just show up late and not really work hard, and that's okay. And we're going to be successful. It should be hard. It should be pushing you to things further than you thought you were capable of or how to do it. I don't know what organization or business can be successful without those types of demands. And it's not for everybody. And that's what we still to this day in recruiting. There's a unique, especially at a place like Fresno State or even Northridge before, it's not for everybody, just that part alone, that it takes a unique personality and person to just be in the environment of Fresno, to be into this coaching staff, whatever the things. And I think that's something I know he's super proud of, that to be able to say throughout his career, staying true to who he was and what he believed in. And again, if some people didn't like it, it's okay. Like it comes with the seat a little bit.
But I think some of those people only look at wins and losses, and they look at
and that's where it's. I mean, if anybody kind of has those things, I think the examples, again, because it's my closest friends in life, and that's okay. And even if you want to look at wins and losses, there's 9 championships and 19 finished years. If myself or whoever able to run this program for the next 20 years, having 9 championships,
you take that.
Yeah, I mean, and throw a national championship in there. I mean, which
The only one in school history, by the way.
softball.
Next to softball.
Well, I'm for baseball wise,
yeah.
it's the only one.
Yeah, which is a whole. Can we divert into that for a second?
Whatever you your ship to sail, my friend.
Just because this kind of along with Coach Batesole in the national championship, having been on the team, been in the community for as long as I have, the amount of time somebody has asked me, sometimes in just kind of not knowing, just, oh, I heard this. Sometimes it's because they want actually to validate this. The narrative or anybody to say that team went against him or did our own thing.
I mean, I heard that, but I haven't heard that since then. Like I heard that kind of stuff.
So I've had it
during that time when that was
many times.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard you guys didn't really do what Batesole said, or I heard, or the people have asked.
You guys wanted him out
in spite of him.
People have asked me. I heard you guys had a meeting that you got together and said we're not going to do what he's like. First of all, not only the disrespect to him of saying that, the disrespect to the team and what was accomplished, but just a competition in sports in general, that anybody, you could actually think that's possible. That a group of 18 to 22-year-olds got together and said, here's our coach is telling me what to do. We're going to do the opposite, and then we're going to go win a national championship and beat the teams that we beat.
Because we don't like them.
Like that part of it, if you don't mind the opportunity to at least say publicly here, that's absurd. It's insulting not only to him, that team, and just sports in general to say that.
And I couldn't tell you where I heard that. I just remember hearing that just from people.
And that's just because
I was also younger myself.
But that's because the Bennett fans and supporters were trying to do anything they could to make Batesole look bad. And I know this because I have family play for Bennett. I've also had family that's supporters of Bennett back when Bennett was coaching. And because like I said, I was not a Batesole person. I've said this on the podcast. I didn't like the guy. But I didn't like him because of personal reasons that my brother played there and it didn't work out. And I never knew the story.
Well, and
I got the story.
You were better. You wanted to be a Bulldog.
I wanted to be a Bulldog more than anybody. My dad was a Hall of Famer. I wanted to be a Bulldog. And not to get recruited. I thought, what the fuck's this guy not recruiting me? That kind of thing. Until I finally talked to him. And that's where I was blessed to finally do it. And that's what I'm thankful. I'm not thankful just for this podcast, but to be able to give me that opportunity to actually sit down.
Got some closure a little bit.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And to have somebody now that like I talk to more than anybody in the last 2.5 years that I've known him about baseball, about hitting, going to his office and doing things. And I've learned so much from him that I never would have learned before. And there was no ill will towards me or whatever happened with my brother. That happened. It was done with. There was reasons things happened. But the man he is, that he's true to whatever he wants to do. And that's what I don't think people respected him for that, because no, we want you to do it this way. This is the way Bennett did. Well, like he's saying, who wants to come in and be like, oh yeah, I'm just going to do what Bennett did? No, I'm my own person. I'm going to do it the way I want to do it. And fortunate, you played for the guy. So a lot of the things you're going to do, it has to do with Batesole, because that was your mentor. Like the things that I would coach, a lot of things I would do would probably be what Rob did at Oral Roberts. Some things Coach Scott did at Fresno City. That's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, it's you. It's what you want to do. And I think people just have it's hard to grasp change and new, because Bennett was, Bennett. He was great. And
legendary, man.
And his coaching tree goes a long ways, But Batesole is fucking great and did so much for the program and so much for the community. And yeah, he might not have a big coaching tree, but he's got his tree goes on to people with their jobs and their lives and good families and husbands and stuff like that. And he does have a coaching tree. I mean, there's a lot of people that have coached and stuff, but like that's what Bennett was known for, And Batesole is known for, I think, he's the fucking father figure to all these guys that come through there. And there's somebody they can go to,
No, so I'm with you, man. I totally agree. I sent him a message and I was just thankful. He was when we got out there, you guys were squadding. We had, if there was access, they were more than happy to see people come out and watch them practice. You guys squad, whatever you were doing. If I brought the kids, like he's standing behind second base every time. In between innings, as soon as he saw me, he was not even to talk to me, to give my kids knuckles and BS with them every time. And I'm sure he did that to a lot of people. And sure. I don't know, man. I agree. He's just a good person, great baseball mind, great baseball coach. I think we were lucky to have him for 20 years. I think Fresno State's been incredibly lucky to have the people they've had run this baseball program in the last 75 years.
And to part of that, of being here the last 20 years, he absolutely loves being a Bulldog and being a part of this community. I mean, he's raised his family here. I'm sure there were not any specifics, but I'm sure there's plenty of times to maybe go elsewhere. And I mean, our kind of personal conversations over there, this is who I am. I'm a work in the California State. These are the type of players I want to coach. This is the type of place I want to be. Obviously to this day still loves being a Bulldog and being at Fresno State, and that's as do I, and as do so many other people that have been able to be a part of this program for over 100 years. Going back to how many great players and just people, it's a special place and a special program. And I mean, I know what it means to your family and just people who have grown up here, but that is one of the things for him to speak on his behalf a little bit, that he absolutely loves being a Bulldog. Again, it's who he is. And, it's 20 years of given to this community and this program the way he has. Again, putting the words in perfectly of how to thank him or how to acknowledge it. There's so many different ways.
Yeah, a podcast for an hour is not going to be justice.
Yeah,
it's not going to do it justice.
But I think for not only myself, and I'm in a unique position of now being the head coach of the program, trying to keep that going forward. But it's not just guys in baseball. It's carrying what he taught us through so many other things, and that's just how many times over the last couple of years, whether guys that played for him, a lot of them I played with or coached, just getting videos of their 5-year-old at the T-ball game, and hey, so-and-so sent the video of their kid, or updates of that stuff, or those types of things he truly cherishes. And that's why we get into coaching.
Yeah, and I know he really does, for people that don't know him or that are listening that aren't familiar, like even in our meetings with him, he really cares about his players, both current and past, and does keep relationships with current and past. And dude, yeah, he just, like I said, we're lucky to have him. I'm thankful to slightly have gotten to know him the last few years, and was very gracious to us. And every time my family was out there, I can't thank him enough. And it's crazy. It's gonna be weird not seeing him out there. I can guarantee you that, but nothing changes as far as support goes for the dogs, because you're a dog. And I think people need to rally even more so now, and embrace whatever happens beyond the season in 2023. I think we need to show out. Getting into the position for you, how has it been since, maybe with meetings and, with the transfer portal the way it is and kids wanting to leave immediately and all that, like, has it seen a pretty good response with the players so far? I mean, again, having you around and recruit most of them probably helps that a little bit.
Yeah, and it's a little interesting. So the timing still, we don't start practice here till the end of the week, so we actually haven't been on the field together as a team together since this has happened, which, again, like you're saying, not seeing him, there's some things that are really going to sink in once that starts and practice starts, that obviously just over the years of, hey, what'd you see in BP today, or hey, and this, just being able to talk the game every day in person, not having that there will be an adjustment here when we get started. But as far as, I think the team, I think we have a really good group in place to do something special this year. We set out at the beginning of the fall, really that we had a unique opportunity in front of us, two unique opportunities in front of us that you don't get a lot of seasons that you guys know. And basically, one, hosting the conference tournament on our field, and for myself, the many championships that I've been fortunate enough to be around, the 2006 tournament championship was on our field. And to this day, the national championship is the national championship, so it's a little different. But as far as just what that meant to do it on our field, and that was kind of the first of, for a while, obviously in the first of Coach Batesole's time here, it had been a couple of years since the last champ. So that, and being in a regional, I think 2001, so it had been 5 years since just the program was in a regional. But to do it on our field is unique. So that message to the team at the beginning of the year, we have that in front of us. But then just this group, that we got 90% of our innings pitched back with weekend starters, guys that have been starters, quality innings in the bullpen. If you got 50% of your innings returning, you've probably got pretty good foundation back. 90% of your innings back, you got a foundation for something special there, and especially with Eshawn, Dixon, Angelo, those 3 guys, 3, 4, 5th-year guys. Nico Mitchell coming back. He'll be another full year off of his Tommy John, who our 2019 championship team was a weekend starter on. And Garcia and some other guys in the bullpen, that you have that type of pitching in place for it. You got a unique opportunity. So as far as the team going forward, I think we got a special group that understands, what those goals are still in front of us as a group and what we're trying to set out to do. There's obviously going to be a little change in some coaching stuff here, but as far as that's the most important thing, is the team and on the field, taking care of them and making sure that we keep that path to what's in front of us. So, it does, like I said, the day that obviously it all came out of Coach Batesole retiring, all the different dynamics that came into that for me personally, but since then, the amount of guys that I've played with, coach, guys from the program in the community reaching out of support has been phenomenal. That's probably one of the coolest parts to that, of guys that I've played with, being able to reach out and say, hey, you deserve this, and excited for you. That means a lot. So really just getting that stuff in place, and we've got the alumni game coming up in about a month that obviously I'll be doing some stuff trying to reach out to get guys involved and get guys out there for it, to support the team and the future of the program, really. And just letting guys know, if you're a Bulldog, you're a Bulldog. And, like you guys know, if you're in town or want to come out to practice, or maybe our paths haven't really crossed as much before and you want to spend time with me, I'd love for, anybody that's worn the uniform, our program and what we're doing now is as much theirs as it is anybody else's. And, being Bulldog born, Bulldog bred, that's you're with us. So it's exciting, to get that support of alumni, and having them around means a lot to the current Bulldogs and the future of it too. That's the part of leaving something better than you found it. That, well, Bulldogs, you're always Bulldogs, so we're always trying to make it better and do what we can do. But it's an exciting group. I think that the community and fans being able to come to games and see the local players, especially with Henderson and Dixon, plus a bunch of other local guys, and even some second generation Bulldogs with Peyton Allen, who Dad Jody played, and Springer, who Dennis played. There's some cool things I think people will be excited to come out and watch, and I think it's a talented team here. I don't want to hype it up too much. Start winning some
T-minus 5 years to win a national championship.
Yeah, start winning some games first, but it's an exciting group.
But you know what else is cool? I mean, you guys are going to Arizona in February too.
Yeah.
That's going to be. Listen, if you need correspondence, we've already volunteered.
Is there somehow we can get on a media staff?
We can accommodate the dogs for that. Just stuff, But I mean, that's a freaking loaded week.
Yeah, no, that'll be exciting to start there and start in a professional field, a spring training field, but a big league field and playing surface, to play that competition out the gate of Michigan State, Arizona, Grand Canyon. Be a really good challenge out the gate for our guys, and to do it in that environment and that type of exposure for the program. It's a pretty exciting opportunity.
And you're talking about like Dixon and Eshawn and not only are they local guys, but they've been in the program for a few years now. Like, you have some guys, let's be real, they probably haven't been too happy with the way the season's ended the last couple of years. So there's a little bit of bad taste in their mouth, and they know the standard and the expectation. They're a little older group. They're a little more mature. And one thing that Bates always said, and I don't know if he said it on here, but maybe to us in private, about the team, and I want to say it was
19.
Was it 19?
Yeah.
He was like, this, they hadn't lost enough. It took enough losing to become win, and it's just like these guys.
Or maybe it was. I don't know.
It might have been after. It was after 9.
You guys went to Stanford.
Stanford, yeah.
It was the year after you had.
It might have been the COVID season.
Yeah,
I think
you had the older guys. You said the young guys haven't.
It was Fresno. I think it was Prez last year. But it always stuck with me, because to have that thought of like, yeah, we haven't lost it, and it's like,
yeah, I think that's a lot of time when you see the growth in teams in any sport, there's kind of that deal that there's usually a hump to get over, or even NFL football last year, the Bengals losing in the Super Bowl, probably that getting there was probably a little further, but now they've been there and they kind of know the path, and that's kind of part of the deal, and growing curves and what we're dealing with, especially in college athletics with 18, 19, 20-year-olds, that growth. And then even going back to 2008, to me, going back to Coach Batesole's impact of that team and how we got there and the growth and how he molded that group. I tell people all the time, our 2006 team was a better team. That team.
We've kind of had that conversation, right?
Did not lose in March, didn't lose in May.
We had it with Bobby Jones, too. You said it.
Yeah, the rotation that was with Pfister, Romero, Underwood, and then get to that regional, lose the left side of the infield with 30 home runs and 120 RBIs, not there in that regional. But having gone through that, for a lot of us that then were still there in 2008, we had been to regionals. We'd been there in Fullerton and San Diego the next year, and then now some of us second, third year in the program, you really know what to expect when you get there. And we'd played USD the years before, and we're like, oh yeah, we've kind of beat them the last couple of years, to be honest. So it was kind of, but it takes that. Sometimes you got to go through that, and especially, one of the things that I've taken so much from Coach Batesole, one of the things with, again, just his experience, he's lost games because guys weren't prepared or didn't do this or didn't understand, oh yeah, that really is that important to hold that runner this way or getting that bunt down or whatever it is, and just helping guys understand that in practice ahead of time, leading, hey, when it comes time in the spring, when this comes in the game, we're not going to lose because, we didn't know, and then now after the fact, if we would have done that, we would have won. But at the same time, with the age group that we're dealing with, and they should be confident and feel like, yeah, I'm good, I'm going to go out and do it. And that's one of the impacts he made so well, is trying to do everything you can to teach things on the front end, and not, hey, after the game that, hey, here's what you should have done, or if we would have won, if we would have done this, well, game's over. So that's kind of part of that too, of just getting guys to understand the importance of making every routine play and not waiting until you lose to really understand the impact.
Well, I'm excited for you.
I am too. That's why I kind of was bummed out and I know it was for Batesole, and I'm just waiting for I'm researching for the OV. I'm so happy for you, and I
appreciate it.
I text you and we talked a little bit, and Fresno State's in good hands. I'm not worried. And as much as I wanted to be a Bulldog, I think that's why people don't understand why I take the transfer portal and why I take the Bulldog born, Bulldog bred, all that shit so serious when people just use it loosely, is I wanted to be a Bulldog so bad and never could. And I couldn't be that. And that's why it pisses me off when people leave. They say it, they want to diss the fans and all this, and then they leave, and that makes me mad. So I'm proud Fresno State fan, and I'm proud for you. And to see you guys and see what you can do, and I know I'm not worried at all. I think that this is the right choice, and I hope you're there for the rest of your career. I really do. I hope that, and I hope people can. Everybody has opinion, and I get that. And you're gonna have haters. Everybody has haters, and it is what it is. But
what you see on Twitter is not. It's not real.
No, that's bullshit. This.
I've seen some other things. It's like I've had the conversation with just actually a couple people. And there's a lot of pros. I think there's a lot of pros.
No,
baseball aside, right? The baseball is not, to me, is not. The baseball we're good. It's the other things that you also bring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I appreciate both of you guys saying that and the support, and it's an extreme honor to have this opportunity and be here, and just the history of the program and what's come before, from Coach Batesole to what Coach Bennett did to Coach Biden. 70-some years, only 3 people have had this opportunity. So
I'd have to change your last name, find a new name. Yeah, be in there somewhere.
Well, but but it's something I don't take lightly for a second. It's a huge opportunity that I'm extremely grateful for. That obviously the number one priority is this 2023 team, and getting them as good as we can be, and having a special season for them as we can. But also. keeping people involved in the community and alumni and having them around, and we're getting some stuff together to get some guys together and hopefully get to spend some time with me just to be around and spend time together as Bulldogs. And for whatever reason, it may be just life or moving different things or opinions of things. If you haven't been around the program for a while and want to come out and support us, we want you to be around, and the door's open for everybody. If you're a Bulldog, you're a Bulldog. And that's, part of the thing for me is just obviously spending time with guys and making sure they understand how important they are. And, we're doing some stuff we did some stuff with the team in the fall, kind of a little trivia. Basically, we did a little competition of 3-point contests and some different things, but one of them was Bulldog history trivia.
I bet I would have known more.
You might have.
Some of your players.
Yeah, Springer obviously crushed it with his.
I bet. There's no way Dennis
but just
letting him get away.
And really just teaching them what's come before him and who's come before him, and understanding that, hey, this Coach Bennett built this stadium and how it was built and the locker room, and just understanding what. And I mean, just John Hoover, 19 complete games in one season. So that was one of the questions we put, that John Hoover had 19 of NCAA record, 19 of what in one season. And the answers they threw out were, but then it was complete games, and just the look on their face, 19, guys don't even make 19 starts anymore, let alone completing that.
No,
and
guys aren't winning that many games.
Just the three first-round draft picks in 1 year, and the amount of All-Americans on one team, and so many guys have done. So for me, that's a big part, is making sure that they understand that. We're going to do some more stuff here when we get started of connecting them with some guys and really with the team and understanding what's come before them, how kind of what the history of this program is, because we don't have Fresno State baseball today in 2023 as it is without what's come before. And there's lots of things we need to, it's no secret, there's a lot of things we got to build and get, in the stadium and some other things to do, but we don't have what we have without what came before us, and just understanding their piece in the history of it, that the 2023 team is unique, that they're not the 2022 team, they're not the 2013 team, they're not the 2008 team. You are your unique team in this, and a chance to put your small piece in the bigger history, and just understanding, obviously, when their time's done wearing the uniform, that they're still a part of this moving forward. So that part's extremely important to me, especially having done it and lived it as a player and coached it as long as I have, and gotten to know the people that have come before. Even us, a 2008 team, like I said, the 2006 team obviously really kind of set the stage for that, but so did the teams before, and the 88 team and the 91 team that went to Omaha, and the amount of players and people and coaches that, again, we could go all day going through the impact that they've had. But just making sure the current players understand they've got a unique spot to etch their part in the history, but understanding what's also come before them and who's come and how is really important. So that's part I'm excited about.
Dude, I'm about that, and I was about that at Fresno City, and that means so much to. I'm not a Bulldog, but my dad was, and my dad was a Hall of Famer, and I grew up wanting to beat his record.
Well, just that fact alone, the fact that your dad played, you are, you grew up in it. That. You didn't play and wear the uniform, but that's what I mean, the impact that it has on so many people and their families, and it runs so much deep, and just people that growing up in the community, coming to games that for whatever team or era that they saw, that I saw Tom Goodwin steal 6 bases in one game, 3 days, all those types of stories. And then now their kids hopefully we got somebody on our team now that does something like that they'll remember forever. So
no, and that's great, and that's awesome to think. There's no reason why now a guy like Eshawn can be like, you know what, I want 19 complete games. You know what I mean? These guys did this before me.
I'd get fired in 5 minutes.
But you know what I mean? I want to break the RBI record, or
just knowing what it is.
Yeah.
Just knowing that, holy smokes, Amadi drove in 92 runs that year, or Chevrolet hit that many home runs, or I mean, don't the home run record with Tommy of 50, or just Weaver strikeouts and 400 some strikeouts, and like just even understanding what those records are.
Yeah.
That Goodwin stole 60 bases for 3 years in a row. I mean, guys don't even attempt. We don't teams barely
Don't attempt 60 anymore.
attempt that anymore. So I mean, just obviously the aspirations of so many of them are pretty tough tasks to get, but just understanding what they are and kind of where your piece into it. Yeah, that's
like a leadoff guy. What's the highest on base percentage in the history? I want to do that. Because there's. You can go look at the media and see who has the best on base percentage in the career here and stuff. So, and that's good that you're doing that, and they're coming in knowing it means more. And doing that, I think you're going to get more people that want to stay a Bulldog and not worry about the transfer thing and stuff. Because it is a family. But when people are worried about, I just want to play. If I'm not going to play, I'm going to leave. But now you involve the tradition and. But maybe I'm just different, and I just love tradition, and I get emotional about it, and kids might. But
at the same time,
but it might.
That's the type of player we want to attract, and why understanding the type of player to play in our program, and what the things that are going to make them successful. That I obviously had the opportunity to be in the program as long as I have. I've understood, maybe the guy that thinks that's important, not here, or but the guy that there's certain things to what. Being a Bulldog and being successful here, there's kind of a mold for that. And the same thing with the football program, the basketball program. I was able to, bump into a couple of the football staff in the weight room the other day, and guys that are Bulldogs and played here, and be able to talk to them about that, and their piece in that and our piece in that. It is unique. And Stanford's for a certain group of people, and Harvard's for a certain group. Fresno State has a special, unique type of player that I think we need to make sure we identify right, and then obviously let them grow. And the transfer thing, it's a different element of college athletics in general. That it does go both ways. I mean, we've been able to benefit of some guys coming from some other places that have impact here. To the most part, haven't been blindsided or hitting the wrong way of it. But at the same time, if you're treating your players right, you're developing them, you've got the relationships, hopefully this should be a place they want to be and a place they want to stay and enjoy coming to the field today, not just because it's this is really fun. I mean, baseball should be fun and competing should be fun, but because all these guys care about me, we're getting better. I've seen the track record of guys that have come through here and what they're doing professionally. And then that part will kind of take care of itself with the transfer part. But it's a different dynamic. It's a different world for sure, and especially the football.
It's been nuts recently. I mean, all over the country. I know people have kind of identified dogs in the area just because again, we're Fresno State fans. But I mean, you've seen everybody just jump ship. It's kind of nuts. You never really know what the deeper things are there to it. More times than not, there's a deeper reason why somebody's leaving somewhere, and it's not just as simple of, I'm better than this, so I can go do that. Sometimes, who knows? There might be some academically, there might be off-field. Well, because for the high profile, the ones that go to Ohio State for a year and make a lot of money, that's all you see. You see the publicized dollars he made, and then to transfer out to go make more money somewhere else, that's what's publicized. And people's eyes see that. That's what they think. And you're probably right. There's probably, in more cases, a legit reason for players leaving and not feeling like it's the right fit. They don't trust where they're at, or whatever the case may be. Coach leaves. There's a bunch of stuff. The one that, for some reason, I've just never really been bothered by is the grad transfer. Because that's been around for a long time. I mean, you've seen that.
That was before NIL.
You know what I mean? The guy put in his 4 years, and sometimes they're thinking beyond sports.
Right. And in some places, it honestly is the grad schools at the institution.
Right.
They honestly might not
That's what they want.
Into. We've crossed that a couple times with some solid players at good programs. And, I mean, for us, we got to do the homework of what's going on. I mean, taking a player blindly just because he left a program, because you pulled up a stat sheet or played against him, you're opening yourself up some issues. But so calling some, hey, what's the deal with this guy? And hey, this is the grad school program he wants to be in. We don't offer it. Or hey, he's 2.6. He's not going to get into our grad school. That's another, to the grad transfer part of it, is a legitimate.
How many is that? This guy's a turd.
Right. Well, and
you don't want a piece of this guy.
But and obviously with guys getting next year of COVID, there's more players in grad school now because they've got next year of eligibility, and that is a piece to it. Sometimes it actually is the academic piece of it. Probably is more than a lot of people want to think. The better headline is he left for money, and he left for this because grass was greener. But there's deeper levels to a lot of it.
I don't love it, but I mean, I understand it, and it's here to stay. Like, it's not.
You know what I don't love?
Tell me. I don't.
I don't love the Rose Bowl photo of the Utah football team and all their support staff. Did you see that photo?
The 100 staff.
There was 90 people that weren't in a football uniform, and we have 2 paid assistants in baseball.
Well, I heard they're voting on this soon, like in the next week or two again.
Yeah, I'd heard it was supposed to be
last week,
like August, but I think it's usually they do a lot of that stuff around the convention, which was last weekend. But yeah, no, it's needed just to have more direct impact with the players, for more coaching opportunities for young coaches. I mean, if you want to coach Division I baseball, you've got to make some serious sacrifice to get in it, because you basically have a volunteer position. Anything else besides that is really not on the field. So you either got to decide, all right, I'm going to stay in a program, not be on the field for a year or two, or not get paid directly to do my job, basically. And for a lot of people, for different reasons, that's just not logistical. So getting an extra paid assistant, I think, would be huge, just for our game, player development wise, but then also young coaches, giving more guys the opportunity to.
You might have this guy working with you, because if that were something a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had opportunities to coach at State. I wouldn't think we've talked about on here, but yeah, you've had a couple that just, because of what you're saying, the sacrifices that you got to make just didn't work out for what you had dealing on with your life at the time. Mm-hmm. Whereas if there were, maybe that would have been a spot you got. So it sucks, dude. It's I still don't get it. I think it's ridiculous. Hopefully it changes. I would assume they're saying that they expect the next vote to actually, but who knows? Speaking of staff, I believe you had a couple already in. Are they staying in-house?
Yeah. No. So we hired Coach Buckley, who came on staff in August, who I'd been with the pitching staff the 5 years before, and were able to bring him on. And I can't express enough the impact he's already made on our program. For me personally, getting to spend every day with him, with somebody that I honestly did not really know before getting the opportunity to hire him. I think we both kind of have the same personalities of, when we're competing on the field, and we respect each other, and it's about what's on the field. And, and even in the recruiting side, to be honest, there's a lot of social coaches that just want to be social and talk to everybody. And we're both kind of the same mindset in recruiting. I'm here to find players, and we're competing against each other on the field, and we respect each other. And, hey, coach, how you doing? Congrats on the seat, like some things in there. But we'd never really gotten that much deep into personally a whole lot before. But just from my initial conversation with him, of how much he expressed, just his desire and passion it's about getting these players better and getting them as good as they can be, and competing on the field and getting after it. In that sense, I truly felt there was definitely a common, I guess, approach to the game a little bit that was similar. And then that's just only grown every day being around him, and just his experience of what he's been through. Been a head coach, been a pitching coordinator in professional baseball for 3 years, been an assistant, was an All-American, great player in himself and professional player, and just his experience, the connections he has and just willing to grow, of keeping up with things that are evolving, and be able to easily pick up the phone call to some pretty high level and experienced guys of, hey, what are you guys doing with this whatever spin rate star? How are you using this? Or what's the new, being able to have somebody that's still in tune with that and then actually be able to apply it to our players every day. It has been phenomenal. And I think especially with the older pitching staff that we had, I think it's perfect timing for what they needed. As far as a little bit of a different voice and be able to take them to a higher level, just their daily routines and how they go about their throwing, before they're throwing, when they're done with their throwing, and just so many levels on the field. His impact has been tremendous. And then just obviously just for us day to day, being able to be together and talk baseball and the teams and players he's been around. And, and at this year at Long Beach, Coach Snow always said this, or Weathers did that. And just having that history of what he's been around and seen, and having him in the dugout with us is a huge impact for us. So extremely thankful for him being here and being with us. And he understands, again, the history of the program. So the 88 team with the 32-game win streak lost to Santa Clara. Coach Buckley was on that team. So even just immediately the first time telling a couple guys that were on that team, who we're bringing in immediately, they were like, he was on that team.
Yeah, he's an enemy. He's from the dark side.
Who he is. And just Hosey and Sub and a couple other guys. That's exactly. Funny. They remembered the games and his appreciation for what Fresno State baseball is, and knew what it was like to come here and play against Coach Bennett's teams. And he talks about at that time the Fresno State had two different colored hats and different uniforms, and at that time was well ahead of the deal. But then obviously just the players that were here to play again. Then obviously the tradition carried after. So having somebody that really understands college baseball, the history of the place, just super grateful to be a part of it and etch his piece into it. Can't speak enough to the impact he's having on our program, our players every day, and then myself personally, just being able to spend time with him and talking the game and how to approach things is a huge asset for sure. And then, and then obviously filling in the other assistant role we should have done here by the end of the week and have that in place and be somebody I'm super excited for that, again, is going to make a really big impact on our players directly, and has some really good history of in college baseball and time doing it that I'm super excited for, that, again, we'll hopefully get that done here by the end of the week to have everything be official and be able to get it out. And I think a lot of people will be excited what he's going to bring to the program as well.
Now with Buckley coming in and you being with the pitching side, but you were with the hitters before. Now, did you kind of do both this fall?
No, I handed the pitching over to him for him to do, but obviously still being there as a resource for, hey, here's what kind of some things we've been working with some guys in the past, or, he's really good with this, but here's some areas he needs to work on. Obviously our communication daily of that stuff, but at the same time it wasn't for me to linger around them and, don't do that with him. Like, it was for him to make the biggest piece is just building the relationships with the guys, and he understands that coming in. That was the other thing of, in it happening, of him understanding, hey, you can't come in here and just start shoving things down people's throats. No matter what you're telling them, they're going to, whoa, what is this? So understand the relationship part is number one, and building trust and being around guys. And then now, hey, here's where I think we can make some adjustments. So yeah, no, he completely took over the pitching staff this fall. I went over to, helping Coach Batesole with the hitters and that side of things. So it's been good.
Now, do you guys, I know the rules changed recently. They've added the pitch clock stuff, which you've had to deal with. This year, they're saying that you can only step off once per hitter. This is what I read. This was an article from last season, so I don't know if it's been updated or not, but you can pick as many times as you want, but you can only step off once per batter. How often, how much of that stuff do you have to stress? Like, is it
it's a big
practicing? Because I could see how easily somebody can forget I can only do this once per batter.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal, and we've got the clocks getting installed here hopefully this week, so we can fully have them up when we scrimmage, and for the guys to be able to see them, how it's operated.
Do you I guess before, I'm sorry interrupting you, but
Yeah, no problem.
just like, I hate it. All of the new stuff. Does it, like, for college baseball even more so? Considering your games aren't even televised?
I'm okay. The game, every sport evolves, right? And traditionally, clocks are not a part of baseball. I get that. It's not really. If you look at an average MLB game is like 3 hours and 6 minutes. The average NFL game is like 3 hours and 11 minutes. Like, so it's not really the people carving out the time, but at the same time, our game, the action in between pitches,
right?
It's especially now with all the strikeouts and the way that's evolved. We've always had our pitchers and our defense working relatively quickly. It's just for pace of the game, controlling the tempo. We've always worked pretty quick to win guys. Generally, we're getting pitches off in 12 to 14 seconds, generally. Now, there's plenty, especially in college baseball, because you do have coaches more involved in pitch calling and how it's getting there. There are some programs that you better be ready for a long game. And that's even offensively, there's programs, their goal is to make the game as long as possible. They think it's to their advantage. They think giving extra signs and having their hitter step out, they're going to get the pitcher out of rhythm. So there's lots of
strategy type
levels
play
to this. And so, like, originally the spirit of, hey, let's try to speed it up a little bit, I don't have a problem with, because there's plenty of people that really try to slow the game down. The issues that it comes tricky is when now you actually have to go enforce it. So there's one thing of kind of the spirit of the rule, hey, all right, we get everybody kind of moving a little quicker, but now it's a 3-2 count with the bases loaded, and now we're going to enforce it. So it's like, that's where it gets tricky. And with us in college baseball, the biggest change, you mentioned you get one step off. So before you didn't get any. And so but if you faked a pick, they allowed that. So then
that's why you saw guys in the World Series step off and they'd look at
and in college it became a mockery. They just step off and show the ball. Yeah. So they're trying to get rid of that. So now they added you can at least step off once per hitter. But what they also changed is you have to start your delivery within 20 seconds with runners on base. And that's the part that.
Now, will that be a balk or a ball?
Ball. So, and the hitter, and so to combat the offensive side of it, the hitter has to be in the box at 12 seconds. So now if you're giving signs and, oh no, hey, we want to put it, like, there's a lot of dynamics to it. The baseball is not meant, it hasn't been played for 100 years with a clock. I do think there are some things that can evolve and we can kind of help make the game better, but it gets, college coaches and coaches in general, you sit around and think about ways how to get around it. That's where the step off and show the ball. So now somebody's already got something ahead of
lined up for the new
rules.
That
the clock doesn't, when the clock starts, when it doesn't, and your base runners just clock hits 19, take off for second base or what. There's lots of different things in it it'll be a curve, and especially that opening weekend. And then you've got the dynamic of this umpire super wants to enforce it, but then the other guy, I'm not calling that, and just that's the part where it's when it really starts getting into somebody's going to win or lose a game because of somebody's discretion of when they call it. Like even just last year in the rules, I think it might have been somebody we were playing where both teams are working at a quick pace all game. We're getting pitches off in 12 to 14 seconds. So are they, but then now it was a big situation. Their pitcher wanted to get the sign right, and then now in the biggest pitch of the game, first and second, 2 outs, and we really need to make sure we get this right. Now we're going to get involved and enforce it. So that's the tricky part to me. The clock part, I think the spirit of it, I think does help. Especially at the highest level, I think that there's some pretty slow routines
for sure. And you've seen the numbers show how much the length of games has come down, but what they don't show you is, well, what's the attendance data? Like, we see the games, we see, okay, it's gone from 3 hours to 2.5. Okay, but is the attendance going up? Or is Major League Baseball getting more viewership, or is it the same or even less? Because if the point is to attract a younger audience, maybe we should see if the rules you're implementing are working.
Yeah, or I got a close buddy of mine that says if that's such a deal, then let's just play 7-inning games. If the time is really the thing, if people like, so like, there's the bigger issue at the big league level, obviously, I think is just the ball not being put in play as often, the amount of strikeouts, the amount, and which rightfully should. They've got the personnel to do it, the way they've maximized relievers and specialty guys and how they do it. It's why wouldn't you want to maximize going for strikeout? The less they put the ball in play, but then it's also the skill of the game, the catching position that has gone backwards so far because it trickles down to us because what they're playing at that level, 90 feet doesn't really matter. They don't really care. If we throw a wild pitch and the guy goes from first and second, we're either going to strike the next guy out or he's going to hit a home run anyway. So 90 feet doesn't really matter. But down to the college game, yeah, it matters a ton. Down to the high school and lower levels. So. And I just feel it's the catching. I just feel I think there's tremendous benefits to some of the things that guys have evolved to be able to sit lower and get some more low strikes. But there's so many youth players that I just feel bad because they're not really being coached on how to do it. They're not physically strong enough or flexible enough to get in the position. Now they're just getting even more on athletic. That's a whole nother dynamic to it, but it kind of leads into just how the game's played at that level. I'm curious to see what taking out the shift, what that really does to it. How that changes approaches. Do guys put the ball in play more? Do they just keep taking they can't put anybody on the other side of the fence? We're going to keep swinging for that. I thought it's interesting, and I'm not really. Obviously, love the game and how it's played, but I'm not one to just completely. We can't make it better. You know what I mean? I think I don't think you could argue the rules that went into football to help the offense. That's helped. People want to watch it. It's exciting to watch Mahomes and Allen go back and forth. I don't think not as many people are really that excited to watch a 9-6 football game. And that's not the everything of viewership, but it's part of it. Especially at that level, we're dealing with a lot of money. But baseball purist and how the game's played, I completely respect and have a lot of admiration for it, but I'm not completely against. And there might be some things in here we can do for all angles of it, keep making the game better.
That same article they were talking about maybe bring the, oh my gosh, what is it called? Like the Hawkeye or something? Yeah, Hawkeye technology. Have you seen that? Where they wanted, like in the minor leagues where you could challenge balls and strikes?
See, that just makes it longer, I think.
It happens pretty fast. I've seen them use it where a pitcher, was a 3-2 count, just down in the zone.
I think they did in the fall league.
Borderline.
Yeah, the Arizona Fall League.
Umpire called the ball 4. Pitcher challenged it.
No, umpire called a strike.
Umpire called the ball 4. This was a different. I just saw this one today, and pitcher challenged it. It was a ball, and gave the guy his walk. It was pretty quick. They do it in tennis. I think that's where it started, is what they were saying with when they challenged calls in tennis. But I'm just thinking of the cost to
at our level. But I think every major league stadium has the Hawkeye, and it's 20, 30 some cameras that even their professional scouting at that level is less than, because you don't need somebody there with a stopwatch going home to first, or where these cameras are recording all that and you have it. So I honestly think a lot of that, if the technology is accurate and accessible, and one of the things I've just asked, and I even asked Aaron this a year or two ago, just because of his unique deal, how do you what is his strike zone versus Altuve's? Maybe even if we do know exactly that's where the ball crossed the plate, are we really sure that his box is his box and the letter of the rule book of the strike zone? In college, it's the point between the belt and the letters. Well, nobody calls any pitches.
Judge's letters are up here.
Right. So what you're saying is Judge's box is technically smaller than Altuve's box.
Are we properly?
No, his box would be bigger.
Well, no. If the letters are above the catcher's head, they're not. You can't.
And realistically, it's smaller.
Altuve's zone's probably bigger versus Judge's,
because they keep the zone the same pretty much.
Well, that's what I asked. This was two.
I guess you have to have an umpire. How they would
And I think they do they're talk about something of measuring guys in spring training and kind of your height, but I don't. Is it right? That's my question. I think if the technology's there to that pitch crossed the actual, this is what the strike zone is. Why wouldn't we want that accurate? I mean, I do appreciate the history of how this guy's zoned for the day and adapting to it, but that's just because that's just what we've done. That doesn't mean it's what's best. I mean, nobody likes getting rung up in their first at bat because they called one 3 inches, 4 inches off the plate, and then that's what it's going to be today before you knew. Now, if it's been like that all day and you got at the end of the day, then that's honestly your fault. But I mean, if the technology's right, it's actually reading it. We're actually saying that's what the strike zone is, and it's right. To me, I don't know why we wouldn't. Obviously, the cost of getting it in stadium, especially all the way down to the collegiate level, it's a major deal. But and then again, that's a whole nother goes into the catching position. You don't even need a catcher, really. There's
you need somebody for plays at the plate.
Yeah, but as far as
your home plate umpire is just for calls at the plate, he doesn't even call balls and strikes.
It's weird.
Yeah, as far as what these guys, Rio Muto and the Yankee Trevino, I think the Yankees, and what Winsy's done. I mean, guys like that are skilled. I'm going to get every strike call possible for these guys. I think that might be a lost deal in it, which I think is part of the competition. But I don't know. For me, if the technology's right, if it's actually reading it properly, that is a strike of the letter of the strike zone for your strike zone and yours and the next guy. Why wouldn't we do that personally? But
yeah, I always like getting people's takes on the new tech and how it's used and how,
And I will say, when everybody wants to, they put these umpire reports online and this percentage, and we've kind of got spoiled to use the broadcast that the box is there. We see it real time, and if anybody's ever seen a big league pitch, how fast it's moving, how it's moving. And these guys call it within an inch.
It's pretty impressive.
Now, but if somebody wants to post that somebody got rung up on a pitch that's that far out of it, and how could you miss that? Well, in real time,
when a guy's throwing 100 miles an hour
and the movement, and where did it actually cross that point? I mean, to be honest, the quality of umpiring at the big league level is unbelievable of what those guys.
Well, and those cameras are also, I mean, even the slightest of angle doesn't give you the best point of view.
Different angle. Like just if you went back, put that box in the game, even when you can find the video of Maddox throwing balls a foot off the plate. The guy's calling. If one of those got called today, that guy would be. But they miss barely one off the plate. But we can put a little dot outside of a box, and how could you miss that call? Well, that's actually, if there's only one or two of those out of 300. Those guys are pretty
that
good.
would be fun to see. You get Chad behind the dish, and then you get a professional umpire to see how many, what the numbers would be.
I'm better than that.
But put Chad standing in the left-handed box would for sure know that, right?
No, are you getting him out? I think for the first pitch, what are you throwing Chad in the box?
Not a fastball.
You got Eshan, lefty.
Oh,
I'm not hitting lefty though. I'm a switch hitter.
Okay, well then you're all right. What your power is your left side, right? You prefer to be on the left side.
Yeah.
Okay, so you pick Underwood first pitch.
Oh God, I faced Underwood enough.
I mean, today obviously we're going to see if he can catch up with a fastball. I know my brain and body doesn't work like it used to.
I'm not catching up to a fastball right now.
No.
That's funny. No, listen, man. I'm excited. I think people need to make their way to the ballpark this year. Support this team.
Support
you, an alumni, a longtime member of the coaching staff, and I think that's another thing. Listen, the carousels. You see guys jump ship all the time, and you see coaches come and go, and to see the loyalty, and obviously Batesole, Coach Batesole saw something in you. To keep you around also. It's not like you just, he's a body, we're going to keep giving him the job. You've earned that. And again, I love it that you're a Bulldog, you're an alumni, you're a part of the national championship team and the teams before that, know the history. And it's kind of it's an easy decision. I hope people get out there and support you, support this 2023 team. I know we will be, like always. If you need anything from us, you obviously know we're here for Bulldog Baseball, And man, good luck this year. I'm excited.
No, I really appreciate obviously your guys' support to the years, and what you've been doing here with the podcast just for baseball. If people in the community aren't listening to the guests you've had on, the stories you've had, and even just your knowledge of what's going on around, I think is something everybody should be listening to
appreciate
regularly.
that, man.
I know I do, and I appreciate the support and for the support for this 2023 team coming forward, and that's where the big focus is. And it's like I said, it's extreme honor for me to be in this position and have this opportunity. And my biggest job is to get this team as good as it can be, and honor the tradition and pride that it is to wear a Bulldog uniform and what's come before us and what's going to come after, and then honestly just be me in the deal of it. Just Coach Batesole was Coach Batesole, like you said earlier, Chad. I've played for him and worked for him. There's a lot of things obviously I've taken from him, but at the same time I'm going to be me and be a little different in some areas. Some areas will kind of stay the same, and but there's pieces in me that have stayed in the program since Coach Bennett and since Coach Biden, and keeping just honored for the opportunity to lead this team, and that's our spot in the history of the program, and hopefully help the path better for the Bulldogs to come. And I don't know how else to say it. It's a huge honor.
I think you nailed it. And I think when people use that phrase of Bulldog born, Bulldog bred, there's all the reason right there to come support this team, because our head coach this season is that. And if we really believe that and we hold that dear, then we need to get out there and support this team and fill that stadium up as much as we can. Trust me, and when it's packed, it's loud and it's fun.
And we've had some phenomenal crowds the last.
We talked about it here last year, especially. I remember seeing like a lot of good crowds Sunday afternoons. That's the easiest ones for my kids, and they, I was like, man, every weekend seemed like a good crowd. So I mean, there's no reason not to. If we're hosting the tournament, let's be the one seed to host that tournament and win that thing. And I think people buying into it going forward, like we do the football team and other athletic programs here. Baseball's no different. So I really hope that people do get out there and support this team. And again, the alumni game coming up, we'll repost that and get that out.
That's the 4th, I think.
Yeah. So again, go out there and support this baseball team, the Fresno State Ball Club this year. Again, congrats to Coach Batesole on retirement. I hope he enjoys every moment of it. And hopefully we get to see him out here again. Hopefully he isn't a stranger. I mean, it may be a little difficult to come back soon, but would love to see him out at the ballpark again. And again, just thank you for coming on, man.
Well, thanks for having me, guys, and everything you guys do for baseball in general and the community, to support you've given our program. Obviously, you guys better still be coming out to the field. Of course. Bringing the kids out anytime. So I appreciate the opportunity to be on here with you guys.
Man. Anytime.
Always fun breaking it down.
Sure, doors always open.
We might have to do a weekly podcast with him during the season.
Man, we're done. Done deal. It's done. If that's all we do for the rest of the year, that's fine.
Hey, we might in the spring become the Bulldog podcast, baseball podcast.
I mean, we were going to do that last year and we didn't, but maybe we'll
come on and question why we stole in the 5th inning and why we didn't do that.
We won't be the second guessers.
Absolutely. No, we won't.
No, more than happy to anything you guys need and coming on, and promoting the program, and hopefully, even the times right, get some of our players on
Absolutely,
here,
man.
People for the community to get to know them and put some faces and personalities to
we'll come to the locker room.
They're seeing.
Yeah, well, especially with the recruiting class, you've got a lot of local guys coming through this next class, and even this last one's got a couple faces. You talked about the weekend guys. There's a lot to go watch and be excited for and support. I think more than anything, the wins are going to come, but they need butts in the seats and people supporting them to help do that. So I hope we do that for them.
No, I appreciate that. And again, this is a special team we've got here. And you mentioned the recruiting class. We didn't really get a chance to get into that, but there's some local guys that are really talented that we're excited for, and just the class in general. You don't really know your recruiting class till it's kind of like the draft, or you don't really know till 3, 4, or 5 years down the road. But the group we have signed coming in next year has a chance to be as good as any class.
Absolutely,
that we've had.
I think we've both been lucky enough to. You've coached a couple, and then just we've seen a few of them play throughout the last few years being high school coaches, and I'm excited. I'm excited they wanted to stay here for one, because not all of them had to. I'm sure there were opportunities to go, So to want to wear that uni, it's going to be pretty fun, man. So again, get out there and support these guys, support Ovi, the new staff. Hey, congrats to Coach Batesole. And that's another episode of the Hit or Die podcast.
Hit or Die.
Thanks, guys.